At one Great North Run, Mo Farah thought he had turned up for another easy win. However, the opposite was about to happen. Mo Farah was up against a rather respectable field, including the Robertson twins, who have their famous story of moving to Kenya as teenagers to live and become the fastest they possibly could. He was also up against Lelisa and some other great runners, including some of the greatest from Team GB. He was also against his old teammate Dathan Ritzenhein and Dowie Griffiths from his different countries. This allows the athletes to now compare each other's times based on the first few miles they went through. Some athletes were definitely operating way above their standard and were going to be dropped off the back. However, right off the front, Dathan Ritzenhein can be seen pushing the pace on and on. It was at this point where Dowie Griffiths was actually making his name known. This for him was a massive breakthrough race. However, all the eyes were on Mo Farah, and at the end of this race, around the last 3 miles, something unthinkable happened. Just to introduce you to Zane Robinson in the blue vest and Jake Robinson right at the back. Two New Zealand twins who now live and train in Kenya and have integrated themselves into that society and their traditions. This was unbelievable. They have got better and better year upon year, and in this race, the amount of impact they were about to have was really unthinkable. With Dathan Ritzenhein now pouring on the pace and trying to do all the work he could in order to break this pack up, he was starting to show some damage. Now dropping around 4 athletes from this group, there were still some fantastic runners, not to mention Bernard Lagat as well was also in this group. A top Japanese runner and also another Team GB runner who was doing very well. As they came round to the halfway mark, Mo Farah decided enough was enough. This is when he put his foot down and dropped a mile in 4 minutes 19 seconds. This completely strung out the pack, and even Dathan Ritzenhein, who was originally leading the race, was now around 100 meters behind in the space of only a minute of Mo Farah injecting this incredible pace. It was the turn of Lelesa, who was now going on and on. The Ethiopian-born absolute warrior was now showing his pace and really trying to increase his cadence. This whole time, Zane Robinson was pushing hard to try and stay on the back of this lead group. However, no one was recognizing the secret and underlying man, Jake Robinson. Zane's brother Jake was buying his time. He was literally on a jog. He looked like he was on a long run and actually looked more comfortable than Mo Farah. It wasn't until the last 5k where Jake actually decided to show himself. It was at this point where he injected paces of around 4 minutes 25 seconds. This was something that at points you can see on Mo Farah's face where he was actually struggling. In the history of the Great North Run, Mo Farah has been pushed, yes. However, in my opinion, he has not been pushed this hard. As Jake Robinson continued to run 420s continuously, consecutively running 425, 427, 428, it was really starting to push Mo Farah very hard. Jake maintained his poker face and showed absolutely no signs of actually tiring. People really wondered what was going on, seeing as Mo Farah was now on the back foot. Usually at this point in the race, yes, he lets people do the work. However, usually he is on the right or the left hand shoulder of this athlete, never 2 or 3 meters behind, allowing a gap to form. Not to mention, Mo Farah's form was changing massively and he was swaying all over the road, his arms were going all over the place. It really was until the last downhill segment where once again Jake was trying everything he could to really break Mo Farah. It just wasn't happening. This is why Mo Farah is one of the most exciting runners to watch run, simply because of how fantastic he is when it comes down to these types of races. Jake Robinson now only had 800 meters to try and break Mo Farah, and ladies and gentlemen, if you come up against Farah over the last 800, we know it is square game. Continuously, he went on and on and on, and it wasn't until around the last 400 meters where Mo Farah decided to then come alongside Jake and increase his pace. Once again, had Mo Farah either fooled everyone and made it look like he was actually struggling, or did Jake truly push him to the full-on limit? This, once again, was where Mo Farah glided past Jake and put around 20 meters between them both in the space of 100 meters. Jake, however, was a massive fan of Mo Farah when he got into running, and this really was like an idol almost beating his champion. This is fantastic to see, and Jake went over and helped Mo Farah up and increased their morale and helped them recover as they went back to the Elite Athlete tent. Jake actually proposed to his wife during this race, I believe, and that was a fantastic moment considering such a great race he had just had. Mo Farah is now almost 40 years old, and he is now making one last return to defend his Olympic title. I've asked many times on this channel whether you honestly think that Mo Farah can attain and retain his Olympic champion medal status. However, many people believe he will barely make the top 5 if he's lucky. The standard in the 10,000 meter, which he has gone back into, is higher than probably the marathon standard would be. Many people have mentioned that he would have more chance of getting a medal if he had stayed in the Olympic marathon versus Eliud and Kipchoge and Kenenisa in comparison to actually moving to the 10,000 meters against some absolutely phenomenal runners, absolutely at the top of their standard. Like I've mentioned many times on this channel, Mo Farah is now approaching the end of his career. However, ladies and gentlemen, there is one thing that Mo Farah has in common with 3 other athletes. This is that him and 3 other greats are coming to the end of their careers, all at the exact same time. This is unbelievable, considering the majority of the greats in the past have tried to have their names known individually. They have all had their eras and their times to shine. However, when the standard is just so high that there are literally 5 world record holders in this same era. Today, in this day and age, records are being smashed left, right and centre, and it seems like we really are evolving in the sport we love the most. Long distance running really is all about hard work, endurance and putting your mind to the test. And at the end of the day, as we have seen in many races, champions can be beaten by pure grit, determination and good tactics. This is why we cannot let anyone out. We cannot draft anyone, we cannot bet on anyone, and that is one of the reasons why there really isn't any betting when it comes to distance running. It's not like horse racing. It really is so unpredictable, and although some runners have had personal bests way faster than others, there is always that element of unexpected activity. Thank you for watching today's video, and as always, don't forget to smash the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.